Hey guys, what is going on? Joel here, and welcome to Back in the Day. And today is a very, very special unboxing. I had kind of alluded to this one in my Super Nintendo, the unboxing of my Super Nintendo launch edition. And this was what I was getting at. Now, funny enough, I had just watched Retro Reminiscence video that he posted yesterday. Remembering the Christmas of 1991, and he had invited people to kind of leave comments and retell, kind of tell their stories of the Super Nintendo, and really more so kind of like revolving around the Christmas of 1991 as well. And I had responded to him, saying, hey, look, man, I'm kind of making my own video response. Now, this isn't a video response to him. This was a video that I've wanted to do. I've had this video planned for months and months and months. And so in a way, it's kind of a response to him because I have such a story revolving this game that it's just literally too much to try to type out and leave this, mile-long message or comment on his video. So this is kind of a response, but kind of not a response, if that makes any sense to anybody. And it's weird because when I had started my journey of doing the unboxings, when I did the channel rebrand a couple of years back, this was one that I had kind of thought would be put right to the back burner as being my final unboxing to be like an end of the channel. But as time has gone on and I've acquired more and more games and other things that I'm doing with the channel, it's good. I've got enough stuff to keep me occupied for quite some time with unboxings. So I wanted this to coincide with the Christmas of 1991 because that's when I played this. That was my first memories of, not even my first memories, my first experience of this. As everybody has said, like the Christmas of 1991 was the Super Nintendo Christmas for a lot of kids. And while I had said that I had a TurboGrafx 16 that Christmas, 2 days after Christmas, my best friend Mike Keebler came over and he had this with him. Now it's funny because I knew that he was getting Final Fight, and Final Fight at the time was my absolute. I wanted to play it so bad. Mike was not a beat 'em up guy. Mike liked RPGs, so he brought this with him, and I figured, all right, well, I mean, I'll soldier through, because that was the first thing that after we got his Super Nintendo hooked up, it was the first thing that he plugged in, because he had started playing it a little bit at his house, but he wanted to continue with it. And so for me, I was like, all right, I guess I'll kind of bear through this just so that I can play Final Fight later. Oddly enough, the further and the more that I watched him play, the more engrossed in the story I became, and the more just enamored with Final Fantasy II and the world and the characters of Cecil and Kane and Rosa and Rydia. The story sucked me in. And I know that unfortunately Final Fantasy II has kind of taken a lot of shit for being the lesser Final Fantasies on Super Nintendo. And obviously graphically and musically and everything, I mean, Final Fantasy III is far superior, but Final Fantasy II, this is my all-time absolute favorite Super Nintendo game. Like, hands down, this is it. And it is because the memories of that Christmas. So, I mean, like I had said, I had the TurboGrafx 16, and it's funny because that Christmas I got Final Lap Twin, which was a racing game, but ironically it was kind of cool. It had an RPG mode on it, where it was kind of like a Dragon Warrior style storyline. You were this kid, you were a racer, and you kind of went across towns, and you had to upgrade your car, and when you encountered like battle scenes, instead of fighting, you raced. So that was kind of interesting, and I remember Mike and we played that quite a bit on my TurboGrafx. I got Sidearms, which was a side-scrolling shooter, and Legendary Axe 2, which I still is a fantastic game to this day. But all those games took the back burner to the Super Nintendo and to Final Fantasy II. So I mean, I remember a couple days after Christmas, Mike came over, and like I said, he had this, and as soon as he plugged it in and I began watching, I mean, just from just from the orchestral music. I mean, this has some of the absolute best music. I mean, Sean, you want to talk about, like, music and graphics. I know you were talking Super Ghouls and Ghosts and Super Castlevania 4, and I mean, yeah, no doubt. I mean, those games are fantastic. This game has got one of the best soundtracks, and it just, oh my God, the music is so iconic. Like, every time I boot it up and I hear the intro music, or when you start and you leave the castle barren, and just the music for the entire overworld, it always brings me back to that Christmas. And it's funny, I remember Mike coming over, and his dad had got him a big massive bag of those red strawberry candies. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. Is like the candy itself was red, but they were wrapped, like the wrapping on them was like, looked like a seeded strawberry, and then where it wrapped at the top was green. So it was almost like, but I mean, he had this massive bag, and I remember we set that bag like right in the middle of my bed, and I had these like bookshelves, and I had my TV and my VCR, and my TurboGrafx was hooked up, and then we hooked up the Super Nintendo, and I had a desk chair, and I had this German, it was like a comfy kind of chair that I always sat in. My parents bought for me when I was, like maybe 5. We lived in Germany. It was from this store called Neckermann. But anyways, I sat there, and Mike sat in at my desk chair, and we just began to watch the story of Baron and the adventures of Cecil unfold. And wow, what an amazing journey. I mean, fighting the summon dragon Mist, and then going to the village of the Callers, and meeting up with Tella in the underwatery pass, and then coming across the most iconic line in the entire game when Tella goes after Edward the Bard. You spoony bard. And I still remember to this day watching Mike, and it was when Tella first attacks Edward, and I remember Mike watching the screen going, "Oh, Tella, no!" because he thought he was gonna get rid of a possible new party member. But man, I love this game so much. This is just, for me, this is the pinnacle of retro reminiscing, to say the least. But this was, when I first started collecting, this was one that I made sure I got early on. And I'm glad, because this is obviously one too. I mean, it doesn't fetch the amount of money that Final Fantasy III does, but this one still is up there. I mean, as Final Fantasies tend to hold their value, but just the screenshot there of the Castle Baron, and then if you can see there, the overworld with the Red Wings, and meeting with the king. Actually, that was Fabul. Man. Just that iconic red. Like I said, I know that everybody considers Final Fantasy III to be the masterpiece. And yeah, I've played a little bit of Final Fantasy III. I actually had the cartridge for it some years ago. And I played along, played it quite a bit, and what? It's not what I'm going to dismiss. I definitely want to go back to and play. But like I said, this for me is where it is at in terms of. There we got everything out of there, and obviously, Good Vibe, you're going to have to let me know if this is totally complete. I might be missing some stuff from it. Probably like a Nintendo Power advert, I would think. But I do have the Squaresoft strategy guide mailer. And thankfully this does have the baggie, which I'm glad of. And I know this was a later release, so I'm guessing that there is probably a Nintendo Power advert that I'm missing. I would like to upgrade and get the first series cartridge because I don't know, maybe I'm weird. I don't care for this style when Nintendo changed the cartridge style. I'm just not a fan of that. I like the old school solid piece, but I mean, that's just me. As I remember too, I don't know, set that aside. Some of the music that we were listening to at the time was, you know, like, and this kind of goes into, you know, I was talking with a kid at work. He has Apple Music. We were up on Bulk a few days back, and we were listening to like OPP and the Humpty Dance, and man, if there is one time period that I could go back to, it would be like 91 into 92 and 93. Like, man, that was like, for my adolescence, that was the best time to be alive. I think we had the best music, we had the best video games. My wife and I have talked about this in great detail as well. Like, growing up, man, as a 90s kid, yeah, the millennials and the Gen Zs, man, they got nothing on us. We grew up in the best generation. So here is kind of like a guide, like a map. Here's the entire world. And then over here's the list. Like, if you look at the map, and then your Baron, Mist, Kaipo, Daimakan, Fabul, Mysidia, Silveria, Silvera, I'm sorry, Toria, and Agart. I find it interesting, too, and I didn't know this or find this out until some years later, that the original Final Fantasy IV on the Super Famicom, how that was actually much harder, and they've released it. I know, like Final Fantasy IV on, or I believe it was the Game Boy Advance. That actually is the original version, and I had it on the DS. And here's some of the different places. Map collection. Mount Hobbs, Mount Ordeals, the old waterway, underground waterway, Antlion's Nest, and then up there's the Cave of Mist. So, very cool. And then the instruction manual, which thick manual. It's kind of interesting. I just noticed this. How you have, I believe that would be like, I know it's like a different code, but F4. I wonder if that means Final Fantasy IV, considering this was Final Fantasy IV in the in Japan, USA 1. Hey, Good Vibe, let me know about some of this, because I would love to know. And this manual is so thick. I'm not going to go through the entire manual, because, I mean, there's so much here. But, I mean, this really did up the ante. I was not a fan of the first Final Fantasy, even though I played it and I would like to get it for my collection. And like I've said before, I'm not the biggest RPG fan, but this one just holds such a special place for me. And I try to play through this every few years. Just finished it up not all that long ago, maybe about a year ago, I think. But it actually, the guide takes you quite far in the game. I mean, I believe up until you get to the underground, the Dwarves' Lair. Man, what a great game. I don't want this video to go over too far, because I know this will shut off at some point. But, man, what a fantastic game. So, real quick too, guys, I want to apologize to my, like, guys that I'm saying, if it takes me a while to watch your videos or to leave comments, I'm really sorry. Work has honestly been kicking my ass the past. I literally looked at the calendar. The last day off I had was December 5th, and I'm not going to have a day off. My first day off will be the 7th of January. I've been working straight through, but yeah, like as of right now, like ever since Christmas Eve, like it's every day that I work, I get triple time. So not for nothing, I'm making $75 an hour. You can't exactly beat that during the holidays. So that's going to go for remodeling and quite possibly maybe some new games. But anyways, guys, yeah, like I said, I'm sorry if it's. I will get to leaving comments, to watching videos, things like that. It's going to take me a little bit of time. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching and taking this trip down memory lane with me with, quite frankly, my all-time favorite video game. But I'm going to be doing a 2021 year recap. Honestly, too, hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. Hope you guys all have a safe and happy New Year, and I will see you guys in the new year 2022, and let's hope that it's a more kick-ass year than this last one has been. So, alright guys, once again, thank you so much. This is Back in the Day signing out for my last video of the year, and we will see you in the new one. In the words of two of my boys, my boy Retro Death, stay real, and my boy Retro Reminiscence, Sean, keep on reminiscing, baby. Alright, we'll see you guys next year. Thank you so much. Thank you to all the support and the love that you guys have given me. And just kudos, man. I can't thank you guys enough. Alright, take care, everybody.